Welcome to Stand on Business. My name is Evie, the Takeover. Welcome to my channel.
Now, feels like I got it all figured out. How? Watch me as I break this thing down.
Thank you for joining me on my YouTube channel. This is Stand on Business. Y'all know I've been looking for new ways to interact with you guys. And, I feel like my YouTube is going to be really fun for us because I can start to share different parts of me that I otherwise wouldn't get the opportunity to share. So for me, I'm always involved in society, right? I think we all are now because social media is forcing us to constantly interact with news clips and articles and, events that are going on, word of mouth. Like, we are spreading information faster than ever. So faster than we can process it, I think. So I felt like I wanted to dedicate a part of my YouTube for fostering discussion, just for how we feel about certain societal events and, just going back and forth about how we feel or just figuring out what's going on and what are the facts. And so if there's any topics that you'd like me to cover on Stand on Business, I'd like you guys to join me. Make sure that you subscribe so that you stay in tune for when the next episodes drop. Yep. But we standing on business, so you know what that means. That means we're coming with the facts, we're coming with the ideas, we're coming with the arguments, and we're coming to have a discussion as a community. This episode of Stand on Business, we're going to talk about this statue in Times Square that's been causing all the commotion. How people react to fat women is crazy. I think America is truly fatophobic, and it's not just America, internationally in general. Me personally, I have been anywhere from a size 6 to a size 18, and trust me when I tell you there is absolutely a difference in how people treat you, right? So let's talk about this statue in New York. Why does this statue of a regular black woman, why is it starting World War III? Like, everyone is pressed. She is just in jeans, a t-shirt, has her hair in short braids, and has her hands on her hips. She looks like one of our aunties, our moms, some of us, right? Now, mind you, okay, no, she does not represent every black woman. Completely understandable, right? Some black women are slim, in shape, right? Have different lifestyles. That's okay. But for one, to say that any one statue is supposed to represent an entire group of people is crazy, right? The statue represents who it represents, and the statue is saying what it's saying, right? So we're going to get into that a little later, right? But up until now, no one statue has to completely cover the identity of a group. No one thing can cover anything symbolically. Unless it's the picture of, like, the earth. So that's one thing that I think is crazy, right? Unrealistic expectations. This one piece of art is not going to be an embodiment of absolutely everyone. So there's always going to be people that don't identify with it. That's fine. If you don't identify with it, you don't. But for those of us who do, right, we find it empowering. Now, let's talk about the statue itself and who made it, why it's there. The statue that is found in the middle of New York Times Square was created by an artist. His name is Thomas J. Price. And it's a part of a series called Grounded in the Stars, which organizers said confronts preconceived notions about identity and representation, right? Price's piece depicts a black woman with braids, wearing plain clothing, and resting her hands on her hips. Times Square arts director Gene Cooney said that the statue is making a statement, potentially asking questions about what we value as a city, as a society, and hopefully its tribute to our shared humanity. According to Price's website, the artist's created the piece to disrupt traditional ideas about what a triumphant figure looks like. Price intends to challenge traditional monument conventions by celebrating ordinary individuals rather than historical or political figures. So I think that's cool, right? Thomas J. Price is a British sculptor who has literally done this before around the world. This is not his first time, right? And his whole idea is that regular people, their lives, their likeness, their image can and should be told, used, and honored, just like we would a celebrity or a political figure. I mean, we've had statues dedicated to ridiculous things, colonizers, right? The giant clothespin in Philadelphia, right? Which is literally a massive steel clothespin standing in the middle of the city. It's supposed to symbolize unity somehow, right? But yeah, it's giving clothespin. Then we have the Headington shark, a shark crashing through the roof of a house, right? Eye-catching, but not necessarily symbolic. We had something called the pissing statues, right? Are seen as more appropriate and symbolic than this black woman and this ode to the working middle class woman. I can go on and on and on and on and on about all of these statues that are seen as acceptable, that are seen as wonderful works of art, that are seen as non-disruptive, right? But somehow this big black woman is a problem. So let's talk about why. When you are fat, right, especially as a woman, people automatically see you as not successful. They see you as unhappy. They give you a lot of unsolicited advice and backhanded comments, right? So in America, there's a lot of passive aggressive behavior towards fat people. So this can come in many forms, right? Maybe some of these are familiar to you. There's backhanded compliments saying things like, you have such a pretty face, right? That's implying that the rest of the body is undesirable. Just don't say nothing at all. It's fine. Then there's limited clothing options in a lot of stores. So I know there's a lot of influencers online that are actually speaking up about this, and we appreciate y'all because it is true. A lot of places claim to be size inclusive, and they're just not. They have small restaurant seating, so a lot of booths and chairs and armrests, they're way too narrow, and they're not designed for the bigger body or welcoming of the bigger body. And most people would just say, well, lose weight so that you can fit into it. And we're going to get into why that's problematic for multiple reasons. There's health concern disguises, right? People pretend to care about someone's health when really they're just shaming them for their weight, or there'll be something wrong with a bigger person and people won't care to look into it because they'll just say, well, the solution is to just automatically lose weight, right? As opposed to actually trying to properly diagnose this person properly. There's workplace bias, right? Fat employees may be overlooked for promotion or leadership roles due to stereotypes about laziness or lack of discipline that's naturally associated with that. And I can attest to that being extremely true because when I was a size 6, any opportunity I wanted, I would get immediately with no questions asked because I just looked like quote unquote success, right? Now, mind you, this goes into just the confidence as well, because in my bigger body, I had to learn how to wear my confidence in a way where now I also can command the same level of opportunities just as fast and just easily, if not easier. So that is a part of it. Yes, confidence as well. But definitely the world treats you significantly different when you're skinnier, right? So like I said, medical dismissal, doctors attributing all health issues to weight rather than investigating the probable causes. There's fitness industry messaging, constant gym and wellness programs offered through market weight loss and commercials and ads and Ozempic, whatever that is. Like, oh man, please. The ads are crazy. Everything in this country wants me to hate myself when I gained weight, and that's sad, right? Especially when we think about like what causes people to gain weight and keep it. But, we'll address that in other episodes. Social media trends obviously are super, super, super just crazy. I will say this goes both ways though, because some social media trends are actually body positive, and that is actually appreciated. So I think that goes both ways. Some social media trends are counterproductive, and some of them are actually encouraging. Right? Jokes in entertainment and movies, there's always some kind of fat characters and jokes and what roles that they play and what is being said about them and what they're allowed to say in character, what that represents. I remember watching the Parkers and seeing these big, beautiful women just command the room. And I just remember how I felt seeing that growing up, and then going to see Missy Elliott, and then going to see people like Queen Latifah. And man, there's so many people that paved the way. So now we have Lizzo, and thinking about how I feel when I see her just being openly her, no matter what size she is. And seeing, one, the backlash that she gets, but two, how she handles it with grace and how she moves forward and still created her multi-million-dollar business and dropped her albums and became her true self as an artist. Not despite of her weight and size, but just because of who she is, right? I think we're constantly programmed to punish ourselves, to hate ourselves, and nothing gets better when you're not in alignment with yourself. And you can never be in alignment with yourself when you hate yourself. You hate yourself usually because, right, these are the ideas that are projected towards you. Society is really harsh. They will feed you plates and plates and plates of rice and beans and meat and bread and cereal and sugars, and then shame you for being fat, or laugh at you when you say you're on a diet, or, invite you out when you tell them that you're trying to be disciplined. So it's pretty interesting society that we live in, right? But let's get back to it. So yes, them putting up this statue of a bigger woman, it's not even good as the fact that she's a black woman, right? A bigger woman. Just her being fat is a huge problem right now for people. Why? I don't know. They said that she's promoting unhealthy eating, right? I would say that 1 out of every 100 statues has a little weight on them. So I don't know how this one statue is convincing us to eat unhealthy. People would say that she's reinforcing negative stereotypes on black women. However, like I said, a lot of us have aunties, moms, sisters, grandmothers that look like her. So let alone ourselves. I look like her. So I can identify with her. And if you can't, that's fine, right? She's not harming nobody. She's just chilling in Times Square like everybody else. What is the problem? But anyway, yeah. So not only that, but this statue also triggered a whole bunch of crazy racist antics, which is a whole nother problem, right? So MAGA took it upon themselves to give the statue an identity. And they said that that the statue is a statue of Attorney General Letitia James, right? It's not. It is just a random fictional black woman, right? As per the actual artist price. Yeah, all that to say, why they mad? They mad because they hate fat people. They're mad because they hate black people. And they're especially mad because they hate women. So they definitely hate fat black women. And that's just a fact. But what do you think? Why don't you stand on business in the comments? And join me next time.
Watch me as I break this thing down.